My name's Adele Onyango, and welcome to another episode of Legally Clueless. No, seriously, I have no clue what I'm doing, but I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Hey you, welcome to episode 286 of Legally Clueless. I'm so glad you're part of the fam. This is what's coming up a little later in this episode.
I like talking about weight loss in terms of fat loss.
Can you target fat loss like around your belly?
No, you cannot. I just put it there.
Yeah.
First and foremost, no, you cannot spot train. You can't target fat at a particular area. That's only done through surgery. Now, what happens is depending on your genetics, some people are more predisposed to carrying fat, ladies, under their arms or hips. Other ladies, it's their tummy. Other ladies, it's in their bust. For some men, it's the back of their neck. Others, it's their tummies. Others, it's their backs. So it just depends also now on your genetics. So wherever you add fat the first is where it will go the last. So if it starts from the tummy to the rest, then it will lose on the rest. Then the tummy will probably be the last place that you're going to lose. Fat loss starts from the extremities. So you start to notice that your fingers are losing fat, then your wrists, then your arms, your feet, it comes up.
All right, before we get to this very exciting episode, our East Africa tour is alive. In case you're new to the family, first and foremost, audio episodes like this go out every single Monday. We have another podcast called Midweek Teas that goes out on Wednesdays. And then on Fridays, we have a new podcast called Ask a Therapist. And then we also have seasonal video series and tour series. And then our East Africa tour series is live. We're 3 episodes in. And this 3rd episode had everything to do with Ethiopia. But in case you didn't know, for the next 10 more weeks, we are going to be weaving through Uganda, Rwanda, and Ethiopia on our YouTube channel. We went on tour to tell you stories of these wonderful countries and their cities and the incredible people we met along the way. And we teamed up with Mastercard Foundation and the Forum for Africa Women Educationalists. You may know them as FAWE on this particular tour. So Mastercard Foundation, they have the Scholars Program. And this is an initiative they run globally to get world leaders who they can support while young access to education so that they can really live up to their potential of being transformative leaders. And so they work with different partners on this program, and FAWE is one of the partners. And FAWE have been working in the education space for the last 30 years. And they've been working to promote education for girls and women. And they do have a few men that they work with, young boys. And one of these men is in episode 3. His name is Endeshaw. In this episode, we explore castles. Let me tell you, King Menelik's castle. If you are ever in Ethiopia, please go visit it. I have never been outside Addis. I've been to Ethiopia a couple of times, but even the exploring of Addis was minimal. And then I just never been outside of Addis. So this episode 3 is really important and special to me because it was the first time I went out to Adama, and that's where I got to meet Endeshaw. His story really moved me. I even signed on to join his community and help him do the impactful work he's doing through annual donations, just to keep the center going. This is definitely an episode that's a must watch. There's a link to it in the show notes. And of course, while you're on our YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications and share our channel with your peeps. And here's a bit of a tester as to what's in episode 3 of our East Africa tour series. So I'm feeling rather royal because I've just been walking through King Menelik II's castle, and it may fool you from the outside that it looks small, but once you walk in, it's huge with these high ceilings made out of bamboo and leather, and I've never seen that before. That's the first for me. They also have these huge jugs for water and their version of muratina, aka honey wine. And I feel like this is quite important for us to be here. One, knowing that Ethiopia is the only country in Africa that's not been colonized. And King Menelik II is responsible for a huge chunk of that fight because he defeated the Italians in the Battle of Adwa in 1896. The victory would prove to be very significant in not only invalidating the colonial mindset that Africans were inferior, but it set an example that would inspire countries across Africa to fight for their independence. King Menelik II would serve as a significant symbol of Pan-Africanism, and so would his wife, the Empress Tatu, who marched alongside her husband and would also be a driving force in the victory over the Italians. The couple would then move to the palace on Entoto Hill, where it said the Empress was responsible for the creation of Addis Ababa, which means new flower. Never having been out of Addis, I'm pretty excited to be heading to Adama, a city located 90 kilometers south of Addis. Adama is the capital city of the Oromia district in Ethiopia. Now, you might hear some people call it Nazareth, and that's because right after World War II, the then Emperor Haile Selassie gave it the name Nazareth, referencing the biblical Nazareth. But in 2000, it changed right back to Adama. But I'm not here for a history lesson. I'm here to meet some very powerful Africans doing impactful work here in Adama. I'm here in this quaint little town to meet an incredible young man whose compassion is changing his community.
This location is bedridden elders and mental illness means.
Okay. Head over to our YouTube channel to explore Addis and Adama with us. Now it's a brand new month. Woohoo! And we have a brand new wellness talk coming up on the 28th of September. And I feel like as a community, you and I, let's take this month to be the month where we focus on building our fitness habits and improving our nutrition. I've already started. I've told you in a few podcast episodes before, my daily walks are a must do for me now. And I just keep pushing how much further I can go and how much faster I can go. And nutrition, I've also kicked it up. Finally have a focused person cooking for me. And yeah, I just want this month to be the month where you and I focus on how we can make sure we are physically healthy. And fitness and nutrition is at the core of that. So back to our wellness talk. Our guest speaker is a celebrated, pretty informative fitness coach here in Kenya, Shiv Simani. For years, he's helped people transform their lives and their bodies into healthier versions of themselves. Now, he'll be talking to us about everything from fat loss, tips on building attainable fitness habits. Hey, holla if you need that. I'm in that chapter. That's the one for me. He'll also talk about building muscle, which as we get older is super important for us. He talks about what part does nutrition play and what we can do in terms of what we eat to better our fitness goal and better our physical health and just so much more. Trust me, it's a must attend. It's a virtual talk, so wherever you are in the world, just grab your ticket, and the week of the talk, my colleague Mercy will send you all the registration links and deets. Tickets are just 1,000 bob, and they're available on our website, on Hustle Sasa, or just click the link in the show notes. Grab your tickets nice and early. They are limited. This is going to be a must-attend wellness talk. But before we get to the wellness talk, let's get to know Shiv a little bit more, shall we? Welcome to another Random Convo, and I want to introduce you to a very special person who's doing incredible work here in Kenya and beyond, honestly, who is also our guest speaker at our next wellness talk. And it's none other than Shiv. I don't know if I should say your full name, like make it so serious, like Mr. Simani. Who is quite a few things. Fitpreneur, fitness coach, you do a lot of digital content as well, and nutrition. When I was preempting you coming on this episode, in the previous episode, I was like, I'm not going to say anything else he does because I don't know if it's top secret. So I'm going to leave it as that. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks for the intro.
Yes.
Adele. Yes, my full name is Shivarenje Simani.
Okay.
But Shiv is easier.
What does Shivarenje mean?
It doesn't mean anything. I was just named after my great grandfather.
Can I ask you something? I swear I've not been stalking you. It's just because I've never heard the name Simani since way back in the day. So I just want to know if I know your relative or like your family. My mom, my late mom, worked at AFC, and she had a coworker called Simani. Is anyone?
Yeah, that's my dad.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my dad.
Okay, so your dad and my late mom were co-workers.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought about it when I was going through like your profile, and I was just like, I've not had Simani in like since AFC days.
Yeah, and it's one of those names that it's like just within the family.
That is wild. But anyway, away from family ties, tell me a bit about your family life and your childhood.
I grew up in, I don't want to call it typical, but I grew up and with a mom, dad who are still alive.
Yeah.
And a sister, an older sister. I'm the second born and last born of two siblings.
Yeah.
And just my sister and I, we grew up moving around. Well, we initially grew up like in an estate, then moved out of the city to the outskirts, let's say current sides.
Yeah.
Then moved another 2 times. So we kind of just made friends wherever we were. But for a time, like a number of years, we were just the 2 of us when we lived AFC sides in Karen.
Oh,
Crazy
damn!
you mentioned it because that's where we lived, those sides. And in those days, it was empty, no neighbors, no nothing. So yeah, just the 4 of us, mom, dad, sister, me. We had like 2 dogs, we had fish, we had cats. So those are like my friends. I grew up with a lot of pets and animals. A lot of cousins, visits, either at our place or we went to their place. So I'd say it's nothing out of this world, I would say.
So at this point, what were your interests like in school?
I am never interested in books.
Yeah.
In fact, it used to be a struggle for me to read a book. So my dad used to get me to have to read a page of a book before I could go outside. So all my life, I did want to grow up to be a footballer. I knew I'm going to be a footballer. That's all I wanted to do. So that's all I did, morning to evening, play football, whether it's for the school team, the church team, the estate team, whichever team I could get myself on, I'm going to get myself on.
Yeah.
Used to go for like football practice in Sadili when it was like all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But reality hit sooner or later, and I was told, we can afford it, stuff like that. The opportunities were just not as they are right now. So I realized I have to read to go to high school. Which I managed to pass exams and go. It's not that I wasn't good in class. I just didn't enjoy reading. But when I read, I got the A's I needed to get. I still struggle with reading to this day. So I do a lot of audio and visual content. That's how I learn.
I was going to say it's like a lot of our education system. I'm not sure about CBC right now, but like back then, there's so many subjects that maybe we dismissed as we didn't like them, but it was the format it was being taught wasn't, for your personality. So maybe you're more creative. So you need visuals, you need color, you need audio. But back then it was just like this plain boring book.
Note-taking and writing. It's like, I can't do this anymore. So I just spent a lot of my life outdoors in anything, whether it was swimming, I was in swim teams, I was in track teams, I was in football teams. I played basketball, I used to skateboard, I used to ride bikes. So anything outdoors, count me in.
Yeah. And so when you go to high school, you still continue with your sports, or does it become a bit hard towards the end of high school to kind of balance it all?
So I still continue with my sports. I tried to get into the rugby team. I was good, but my shoulders were not the best for the sport. And I ended up dislocating my shoulders, both of them, in football, not even in rugby. So I couldn't play rugby competitively.
Yeah.
So I joined the swim team. So I was in the swim team throughout high school.
And so at this point, are you like pretty sure about what it is you want to do in life, or are we still footballer?
No, I have no idea what I want to do. I know I want to do something to do with design. There was a lot of, maybe I think I thought of being an architect, then a graphic designer, because I used to be in the arts. I used to love drawing and painting. I still do.
That's really dope.
Yeah, so I'm into just anything artsy. So I knew I wanted to do something to do with design, but I didn't know what it was. Then the mathematics and physics wasn't the best. So I was like, architecture, maybe not.
Yeah.
If it gets more intense than this, then maybe not. So I was just like, okay, let me just pass my exams and just see where this goes. So my sister by this time was in uni, and she was in USIU at the time. And I wanted to do graphic design, but it wasn't being offered as a degree course. And my folks wanted me to do a degree course, not a diploma course. And I was fighting so much. So just so look for something to do in USIU. So I ended up doing hotel and hospitality management, which is what my first degree is in.
That is so interesting. Yeah.
So I ended up doing that.
Yeah.
And I just did it honestly for the sake of doing it. I didn't enjoy it as much, but it was the best out of all the options available at the time. And I ended up working in the hotel industry for about 2 years. And that was my full employment life. 2 years after uni.
What was your experience like in employment?
I liked the stability of it, but I didn't like the working hours, especially in the hospitality industry where you work holidays, you work Sunday mornings, you work Saturday nights. And at the time this was happening is kind of when Shiko, my now wife and mother to kids, was expecting our firstborn. So I kind of had a choice of, do I want to keep doing this thing that I wasn't passionate about. I wasn't passionate about it because it wasn't my thing, in the sense that I felt like I was working so hard to build this hotel and I'm at the bottom of the food chain, starting from, the porter and the front desk and guest relations. I was just like, when will I ever get to the top? Will I get to the top in this country? Is it worth it? Do I enjoy it? So I knew a year in that I wanted to leave.
Wow.
I just didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was like, let me just stay on. And that's kind of when I I didn't meet, but we grew up together. Yeah. My former business partner at Just Gym It.
Yeah.
And he was doing this coaching thing. And I was interested. So we used to work out together, but he was now coaching also. And he was like, yeah, we can really do this. You're good at this, so try it out. And I wasn't sure about it because I didn't really have an education background in it.
Yeah.
But I was super interested, and the YouTube had just come up.
Yeah.
So we're getting all of our material from YouTube. And I was also using his course texts from his books and learning from him too. So we kind of started this on the side, and I was doing that on the side, but still working at the same time. And I think just a few months in, I knew, I'm jumping ship here to just try this out.
Take me to the day you resign. I'm really interested to know, what are some of the emotions you're going through? Also because, first, it's something that I'm very passionate about, people leaving their jobs to go and follow their dreams.
It's difficult.
It's very difficult. It took me, you knew a year in, and it took me 4 years to hand in my resignation.
Wow.
4 years. Yeah. So it's very difficult. And I just want to know, even from a male perspective, what are some of the emotions you're going through? You're just about to have your firstborn. This job is not for you. You want to jump into the unknown. Yeah. What are the emotions you're feeling?
I can't say I remember the exact way things went, but I was scared. I was terrified because of the unknown. Everyone around me was like, what are you doing, kind of thing. But I already spoken to my parents about it. Yeah. I was still living at home, but I also knew I need to move out because how am I going to raise my child in the next, it was 4 months to come. I think it was about, it was about maybe 6 months to come.
Oh my goodness.
Where are we going to stay? What are we going to do?
Yeah.
So I was scared, just terrified. I just had whatever savings I had, but I had the blessing of my mom. She was like, yeah, you do what you want to do, figure it out. My dad didn't understand what exactly I was quitting to do. Yeah. But I had decided, kind of hit my boss at work by surprise because I was doing well. I was climbing the ranks. I'd gone from being a porter to the front desk to the guest relations to talking about being supervisor role. But I thought what I wanted to do. So they were shocked about it. But they were like, if you ever need our support in any way, then we're here for you. And it was just from then, it was do or die determination. This has to work now. I have to have money at the end of the month to do this. I have to build something now. So that was all I was thinking about. What do we need to do next? How do we need to make money? where do we go from here? How do we market ourselves? How do we start this account? That's all I was thinking about. Just keep moving forward.
And I think you go into like, there's something that kicks in. It's like your body stores this determination somewhere when you're employed.
Yeah.
And you never tap into it. You don't even know it's there. Yeah. And then when you like jump out, it's like, okay, reserves, come out.
Yeah.
And you're just like ready, you know? So you start this business and you're learning as you go.
Yeah.
What was that journey like?
At first, it was exciting because it wasn't being done how we were doing it. So we started off the whole vlogging culture, fitness vlogging in Kenya. I think we're the first fitness vloggers in Kenya. So we're just recording our journey. We're just enjoying ourselves, really. And we enjoyed working out. So we were working out everywhere and anywhere we could.
Yeah.
Recording this on our cameras and uploading onto YouTube. Grew a huge channel.
Yeah.
Because it was just fun. And we're just looking at, basically the template was, what are the fitness entrepreneurs in the States and the UK doing?
Yeah.
All right, they're vlogging and how they're selling and how they're advertising. We're just like, this is the blueprint and this is exactly what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So we're just kind of taking that model and bringing it here.
Yeah.
So it was just like learning every day.
Yeah.
And just keep moving, and we weren't thinking too much and too hard about things.
At what point do you realize this fitness thing is actually the thing I want to do?
The love for it kept growing. Like, I was super interested in it every day. And the more I learned, the more I saw changes in my body and how it inspired other people and the people around me, my close family, friends, and also just the way people interacted with me differently once my body started to change. And the impact it had on people online. I was like, I think this is it for me. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy working out. And I think the first person I transformed, I was like, whoa,
oh, wow.
You know, see them going from this to this, and just their mindset shift, their body shift, and that fulfillment I felt from that. I was like, I want to do more of this. I want to be able to get this feeling to as many people as possible. And that's still what I want to do today, and it's never changed.
Yeah.
So sure, I was like, this is definitely it for me.
I was going to say, because like our relationships with our physical bodies is so intimate. Like, this is our first home, regardless of what country you live in.
Yeah.
This is our first home.
Yeah.
And so if you help someone kind of like unlock themselves from not being at peace with certain things with their body to the point where they unlock just how powerful our bodies are and start to love their bodies, like, that's like, it's like therapy. Always.
Yeah. In fact, we keep joking in the industry, but we should be charging a lot more than we do.
Yeah.
Because we are therapists.
Yeah.
It ends up being a therapy session most of the time.
Because
I've seen people in all states cry, be happy in one session, almost faint, come out with absolute joy at the end of it.
Yeah, and because we had an episode on self-love, and one of the tips that was given to help you increase your self-love is to start celebrating your body.
Yeah.
And part of celebrating your body is actually taking care of it, right? When you look at self-care practices and some of the things that you're told, what is self-care? It's making sure your body is well in terms of physical, emotional, and mental. So like physical is always there when we're talking about these very mental health things. So do you remember one particular person you transformed at that stage that sat with you? Obviously respecting no names or whatever.
Yeah.
But like one person that stays with you?
There's so many that stay with me. I think everyone I've transformed, there's been transformations from, trying to get bigger and stronger. There's been trying to cut down weight. And there's others who's just a lifestyle change completely. So each person I see changing in a certain way in how they were looking and how they wanted to. For me, it sticks. It sticks all the time.
And so you do this business. At what point do you now branch off alone? And is that exciting? Is that scary?
Oh, this one was tough. I think this was even tougher than me resigning or quitting my job initially, this was tough because this is like our baby, which we built from, my mom's backyard. That's where we came up with the name, just like playing around with names together, to getting clients, to building this brand that everyone knew and identified us with. And this was with my business partner, who was like my best friend at the time, like shared everything, went everywhere, spent so much time together every day. So it was very difficult leaving that behind to start on my own. I wasn't scared for the business side of things because I already did have a client base. I already understood the business, but just the relationship, because I knew it would affect the relationship 100%, which it did. And it was difficult in that sense. I wasn't so scared about, okay, where will I get clients? I knew I had a client base. It was just, okay, now I have to start over. But it was also a breath of fresh air because it was weighing heavy, like really heavy. And we had talked about it before I actually left. So it was like, okay, this it's been months and, it's just not working. So let's just call it the thing. That was tough.
Yeah, because it's like an elephant in the room, right? And it's like you're not addressing it, but it's there, right?
We actually addressed it. Well, I brought it up like 2 months before. So I'm the kind of person who just has to say, I don't like to keep things.
Yeah.
I'm just like, let's just talk about it. Even if it hurts, let's just talk about it. When it came, it wasn't like a blindsided thing. It was going to happen if some things were not put in place. So things didn't happen and weren't put in place, so it happened.
Did you fear, or maybe fear is not a word, but like what were your feelings being in the public eye, especially digitally, which emboldens everyone and their grandmother to have an opinion?
Yeah.
Because I currently, I'm divergent for 2 seconds. My previous boss used to say, you have to have an opinion on everything as a journalist. And I always used to be like, no. And it's something I hold dear to date. There are things I'm like, not only do I not have an opinion, my opinion is not needed. Even if I had it, it's really not needed here, right? But I feel like the culture online is that everyone has an opinion and that's not enough. Everyone must share this opinion and every opinion is the right opinion, which I find to be so fascinating. What were your feelings around that pressure when you're now venturing off alone? Because you would have to, at some point, share this digitally.
Yeah. I think I just put up a statement like, I've left Just Gym It and we won't be working together, no longer in the company, and that's that. I didn't really explain anything to anyone. I've never really done so.
That's good.
I don't think it's necessary for me or for him for us to drag each other online. It doesn't help us. For clout, yes, but for my personality and integrity purposes, I don't think it's necessary. It doesn't help me in any way to talk about, okay, this is what happened and then this happened and then he said and then who said then. I was like, I'm not going to do this. There were a number of interviews and people online and blog sites who wanted to know and kept reaching out. But I was just like, I'm not talking about this, and that's that.
And that is such a part. I really applaud you.
So good to happen.
And I really applaud you because I'm divorced and it's been a couple of years now, but the internet is just catching up now.
Yeah.
But I remember during the thick of things, getting like a DM from a gossip blog that was like, we are hearing ABC. And my best friend said, what a strange message. Like, why do they think you will give them an explanation? Like, who are you?
Yeah, exactly.
And I was just like, that's a really cool way to look, because I was like stressing out in the moment. And I was like, actually, that's true. Like, I actually don't owe anyone an explanation, whether I know them or I don't, So I find that to be very mature of you.
I believe some things should just be kept private.
Yeah. And so tell me about solo.
Yeah.
Now you go solo.
Now I go solo.
And what do you put into place? This is exciting. It's new. You're going to venture out. You have some clients already, which is best place to start a business,
Yeah.
you know? What does that look like in the beginning?
In the beginning, it's exciting. So it's like I can move quicker because I'm making the decisions by myself. It's like, okay, there's no one to, okay, how are we doing? Oh, what's your opinion versus it's me. So this is the way we go. So it's like if I'm failing, I'll fail quickly and I'll learn and keep moving from this. But also it's like, okay, there's no support in the sense that it's like all on me right now. So from scratch.
Yeah.
And I need to kind of build a team. How do I build this team? So I need to start doing that from scratch. And also it was a bit of a branding nightmare because
Rebrand.
rebranding was a nightmare because everyone just knew me as, Shiv, just Jim it.
Yeah.
And I removed that from my name online everywhere, but guys were still not even just calling me that. It was still mistaking me for Frankie. So sometimes people call Frankie Shiv.
Yeah.
People call me Frankie. So it was just all over the place and went on for years. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I was like, okay, it's now Shiv Simani Fitness.
Yeah.
But also I was just like, do I want Shiv Simani Fitness to be the name of my brand? So it has been an up and down, really kind of finding what works. And I came and I finally found it, which is Rotator, which is where my brand is moving to.
Okay.
I have Rotator Wellness coming up.
Okay.
And I have a Rotator Clothing Company. So those are two entities under the Rotator brand.
Yeah.
Which are under Shiv Simani Fitness. So I'm kind of removing... I want Rotator to stand on its own.
Yeah.
I don't the thing where it's like, okay, if Shiv is not there, it can't stand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is where you want your business to go to, right?
Yeah.
And congratulations. Like you've just like dropped some two
just
huge
dropped-
things.
yeah.
And I'm like, excuse me, can we just reverse? Those are the top secret things I didn't want to share.
Yeah, they're not secrets anymore. They can be out in the public now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I feel like sometimes when you are in the thick of things as a business owner and an entrepreneur, you don't stop to take in the wins because there's just so much that needs to get done. And so like, congratulations. This is really important, especially for the fitness space in Africa.
Yeah.
A lot of still, you were talking about when you started, it was checking out YouTube and what's happening in other countries. That's still the case to some extent right now. When you look at digital content and like actual concrete plans, like I want a workout plan, I want this, you find that you still have to go to another market that they don't look like you, they don't eat the food that you do, they don't have the genetics that you do, you know what I mean? So this is so wonderful.
Yeah.
So we're going to come to the two things, right?
Yeah. I can continue from...
Exactly.
I can go back.
Yes.
I can go back. I started Shiv Simani Fitness and I was coaching how I knew how to coach in terms of bodybuilding. And I started competing in bodybuilding. I competed in a bodybuilding show. I did bodybuilding to the point where, I got to 100 kgs. I was huge.
Yeah.
I looked like a bouncer. Then I got all the way down to 83 kgs with like 7% body fat. So I was like lean to the bone.
Oh, wow.
Extremely lean. Competed. When I stepped on stage, I realized I'm not that into bodybuilding. I don't think it's worth it doing all this work for so long just to be judged based on what the judges feel is more aesthetic, better looking. So I felt some way about bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And it kind of set me into a slight depression for a number of months, went into just a party cycle for like 2-3 months straight after that competition. Because I was like, I don't understand how you can do all this just to be told this. So I hated bodybuilding from then. Then it was weird because I had met my coach, now became my coach, like 2 years before this at an exhibition at the Hub. So there's a guy called Bryant, a coach called Bryant. He's the owner of Fast Power, which was in Galleria, CrossFit. He's a CrossFit coach.
Yeah.
And he was looking to start a CrossFit gym in Nairobi. He's an American guy. Came here, I think he was here initially alone. Then he was just like scouting the area. And then 2 years later, when I left Jashimit, now started Shiv Simani Fitness, I met him in the gym. And he was coming to the gym. I was working out in and training my clients in. And he approached me, I think, after a month or something. He was like, look, you coach really well. Would you like to try CrossFit?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about CrossFit. I've just seen it. Then he was like, give it a try. Come train with us. Let me show you what it's all about. Let me coach you. Let me mentor you. Let me teach you. And then you decide. So as soon as we started that, it blew my mind because I felt like I was relearning everything I knew about fitness from the beginning. And I never had someone with his expertise and his level of experience teaching me about this thing. So it was like I'm in class 1 again.
Yeah.
And this was just, it was blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And this is the whole philosophy of it doesn't really matter about how you look in CrossFit.
Yeah.
It's about how your body is performing, how your mentality is during hard, tough workouts, which just relates to life. It's just functional fitness for life, basically, for everyday life. And I loved that about it and how it scales, CrossFit scales movement and workouts for each individual, whether you are a beginner, whether you're an expert, you can be in the same class and feel the exact same way after the workout. It was very inclusive and it was new and it was teaching me, it was just showing me that I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
I loved that. I know how to learn things I had never knew I had to learn. I had to now even be flexible, had to work on my mobility. I had to work on my gymnastics, doing handstand push-ups, doing bar muscle ups, learning how to skip double unders. So everything I knew was just, I was like, yeah, this is just blowing my mind. So I stuck with it and I loved it and I was getting good at it. So I stuck with him. He mentored me for about a year, almost 2 years. Then I got certified for CrossFit level 1 and I started coaching CrossFit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was still kind of doing the Shiv Simani on the side, but I was now in his gym coaching for his gym. But I didn't want to leave Shiv Simani Fitness, but I still wanted to learn as much as I could from this side. So it's like the growing of Shiv Simani Fitness kind of took a slow, it went to slow down at that point.
Yeah.
So it was more just online activations and digital work than growing the business side of things. So I was just doing more influencing and coaching in the gym than I was doing building the Shiv Simani Fitness brand. Yeah, and I've never looked back since then.
And I think that's important because what you're learning at his gym and through CrossFit is still going to help the business eventually. So it's still kind of like working out. You know what I mean? Do you leave or like his gym? Do you then say, okay, now?
So what happened is, so the gym opened mid 2019, something. And this was now mid 2019, and he had been looking for a space for the longest time. We got Galleria, he built the space. 2019, we launched in late 2019.
Oh no.
Then COVID
I was just like, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
And gyms were like the first places.
Gyms are hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. COVID hit.
Oh.
So we had just started building momentum.
Yeah.
And boom, COVID. So I didn't even coach for more than a year before this happened. Then now we are at home. So now it's back to what do we do? So it's back to now online classes.
Yeah.
So it's now back to, building shifts.
Yeah. Where's that baby?
Now online.
Yeah.
And it's like, I was like, so is this now the sign I needed to now build the platform for online workouts, which I had been thinking about since just Jimmy days. Yeah. I was like, maybe this is a sign. So that's kind of when I started now working on the things I wanted to work on, from the clothing line to the platform, just the back end stuff of things, just the research. And that's when it all started, really, in 2020. I was like, I guess this is the push.
Yeah. It's kind of like there's an opportunity in every crisis, isn't it? And how has the journey to creating your app and your clothing line been like?
Oh, it's been a journey of tears. Lots of tears.
I feel like all entrepreneurs listening are just like, we know.
Tears. Oh, man. You have this vision and this idea in your head, and you can see everything so clearly. Yeah. And you even give yourself timelines. Oh, man. I think I gave myself a 3-month timeline to have everything running. Yeah. And in 3 months, I was like, I haven't even finished sending out surveys and collecting data and analyzing this data. I was just like, oh, my goodness, But you learn along the way. You meet so many people. Just have to be outgoing and not lose heart.
Yeah.
You just take, okay, this has happened. This guy said that they can do this platform bit, and we've been negotiating this contract for the past 6 months.
Yeah.
And now they've started, and 3 months in, they've realized that they can't. You go through a lot of that. You go through a lot of disappointment. But in that, you meet someone else who knows someone else who has worked on this. So it's been a lot of just making these connections and, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work. I tested it in 2020, the online part of things, where I started a private Instagram page where I was providing online workouts, real-time online workouts live, and then saving them for anyone who would like to come back on that. So it was like a subscription-based model.
Dope.
And I was reaching people everywhere, the UAE to around Africa, some in the States. And that's the model I want. I've always wanted to be able to reach as many people as possible with fitness and wellness. I wanted people to be able to access it because the infrastructure here there's not enough infrastructure for people, and people, not everyone can afford to be in a gym.
Yes.
Maybe because of time, location, and just affordability. So if I can get to you in the cheapest way possible on your smartphone or laptop, that's what I've always wanted to be able to do with that. And so that's where we started off, and I've been trying to figure out the best way to do it. Obviously, there's so many ideas I've had for this platform, but just to simplify it, trying to build an online community on the platform who are into working out and healthy living. Yeah, so providing workouts, providing meal plans, and different kinds of workouts, from home workouts, workouts in the gym, to whether you're traveling kind of workouts, hotel room workouts. So anything you need workout-wise, we are like your digital workout buddy.
How will we access the app? Is it too early to know that? Yes? Okay.
For the app, it's still too early to access the app. For the clothing, end of September, that will all be available. So the clothing side of things will come a lot quicker. We're like 90% there to launch. It is a 10% we're waiting for so that everything's ready to go. And the clothing side of things is just because I have always, been in this fitness industry. So I generally wear athleisure or active wear every day. I'm either in like joggers or like shorts or tights or compression pants or something. In the past, it has been very difficult for men, especially to get local, just to get premium activewear that's affordable, quick. It's either you're thrifting, which is not very fun, and then it's either Amazon. I've been getting almost all my clothes from Amazon. A few shops that are here, the big brands are quite pricey. So bring that quality for a Kenyan-owned brand here and accessible, especially for men.
Yeah.
But ladies too. We'll also have lady stuff, and we'll also have kids stuff.
Oh,
so
wow.
the whole family will be kitted out, ready to work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have 2 girls, and they love working out, and they love coming to the gym. They have to feel included. And if we're able to start there with the younger generation in that environment, then that just goes with them. They know and grow up knowing that fitness and wellness is something that's part of life and something that has to be done every day.
What was the most validating moment for you in the entire journey so far?
I think it has been the first time leaving my job and being able to afford a house by the time my firstborn was coming. That was validating. It was, obviously a tiny house, but for me that was big. That was huge. Second one was after leaving the first company and starting over again and building even bigger than I have then. It's extremely validating. There's a period where there was some imposter syndrome for a while, especially after, I think it was after towards the end of 2020, where I think I did really well in 2019, 2020. At the end of 2020, we even moved houses and I wasn't able to, I think I took like 2 months off. I didn't know how to share this and express this because I felt like I reached a point that I had things that I always dreamed of having. There's this house, there's my wife, there's 2 kids, and I have the dog I've always dreamed of having. And I'm like, what is going on? And I'm doing my dream job that I'm passionate about. And I don't know, it's so weird because I was embarrassed in some way. It was weird. I was like, how do I share? And how I didn't own it. I didn't own it for like almost 6 months. I couldn't own it. I didn't know how to own it. I felt like it was too much. And that kind of set me back a few, because now the rest of the year I was recovering from not working. So just coming out of that also and just owning it has been great.
Imposter syndrome comes at the best moments of your careers,
it's so
kind
weird.
of to be like, but are you what's this thing? Like,
Exactly. It was so strange.
Yeah.
Because I never experienced anything like it. I was like, what is going on?
and so in the lead up to our talk, I did ask our community a few questions. I mean, sending questions that they have around fitness and nutrition. And so some of the questions in the lead up are, when it comes to African women, what do you feel are some of the things we need to keep top of mind when it comes to fitness as we age?
So I think for African women, you just need to, I wouldn't say just African women though. I think this is every lady. Things get a bit tougher the older you get. Your hormones, because of your hormones. So you may tend to start to hold fat a lot more. Yeah. So it's important to really start to clean up your diet. That is, if you don't have to have any added or processed added sugar in your foods, if you can reduce on the amount of processed foods just because of the amount of chemicals and hormones in this, if you can increase your activity levels as much as possible. And activity levels means just walk more, stand more, just move in some way every day. Just those and get enough sleep. Work on your sleep, prioritize your sleep. So those very simple things, I think they're very simple to do, make a huge difference to your overall just development and wellness in general.
I love that you talked about sleep, because our previous wellness talk was my GP. Her name is Dr. Sally. We always talk about, okay, what's the next smallest thing someone can do right now after listening to you? And she's like, please just sleep. Like, it's like, please just sleeping. Would you say like building muscle is also like trying to...
Building muscle is important. So the older we get, the harder it is to build muscle. It is still possible to build muscle, but it might tend to get slightly harder and harder. But also, without building the muscle, then the weaker we get, the more our bodies atrophy. So if we don't build muscle and you're losing muscle quick, in your older age, it's a lot tougher to do things. It's a lot tougher to get up just from a chair. It's a lot tougher just to walk around without a walking stick. So the more muscle you have, the stronger you are for longer.
So obviously weight loss was and is a big concern for our community, even especially if we look at weight loss post having a child. What are your thoughts around that? And what are some things that women can do either during their pregnancy or right afterwards that can help them with their weight loss journey?
I like talking about weight loss in terms of fat loss.
Okay.
Because when we say weight loss, it's like we're losing everything. We're losing muscle, we're losing fat. So I just prefer to say fat loss.
Because that's what
we're trying to get rid of, the excess fat.
Yes, got it.
And we're trying to keep as much muscle and all the muscle we can keep. Again, it's very... I sound like a broken record, and I always sound like a broken record, but it's the smallest things that you can do during your pregnancy, such as walking. Keep as active as you can for as long as you can. Walk as much as you can. Do your stretching, your yoga, your Pilates. If you can do small workouts, do them for as long as you can, especially if you are working out before. Don't stop working out. If you can get a coach who understands prenatal workouts, then that works best for you. But you can always work out up until even 9 months. If you are not working out before your pregnancy, I wouldn't say that during pregnancy is the time to start working out. It's a bit of too much stress. But you can still swim, you can walk, you can eat as clean as possible. And by clean, I mean stick to whole foods. Whole foods being eat food in its most natural state.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah. The
All right.
less processed something is, the better.
Still on fat loss. Can you target fat loss like around your belly? That's a huge concern that came up in the question.
Okay. No, you cannot. I just put it there.
Yeah.
First and foremost, no, you cannot spot train. You can't target fat at a particular area. That's only done through surgery. But you can't spot, train, and target fat, especially around your tummy. Think about it. Maybe this person has added the weight, has added the fat.
Yeah.
Yeah. When the fat was coming, it didn't just come on the tummy. It came around the cheeks, the shoulders, the arms, the back of the neck, everywhere. So when it's leaving, it wouldn't just live in one place. It's an overall body thing. And so you can't eat particular foods also. This is another one. For you to lose just in a particular place. Or you can't eat a particular food, like people think avocados, you can eat them and, it's for your butt or something.
Yeah.
Of the
Oh,
sort.
wow. Okay.
It doesn't work like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
When you eat food, it goes to your whole body. It works for your whole body. And the same way, when you lose your overall body fat percentage. Now, what happens is, depending on your genetics, some people are more predisposed to carrying fat, ladies, under their arms or hips. Other ladies, it's their tummy and their butt. Other ladies, it's in their bust. For some men, it's the back of their neck. Others, it's their tummies. Others, it's their backs. So it just depends also now on your genetics. So wherever you add fat the first is where it will go the last. So if it starts from the tummy to the rest, then now it will lose on the rest. Then the tummy will probably be the last place that you're going to lose. For you to lose now all the way down to the tummy, you have to really work harder and harder to get there. Usually fat loss starts from the extremities. So you start to notice that your fingers are losing fat, then your wrists, then your arms, your feet, it comes up. So between now your tummy to your thighs, that's where now it's like, okay, we need to work a lot harder. That's like the last place it will go.
This is so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm actually really excited for the wellness talk because I feel like once you understand a lot about your body and once you're armed with knowledge, you start to do right by your body, even if it means eating right, moving your body, etc. Definitely going to give you more information on this in a bit. But the last thing I want us to end with is, with the age of information, have you seen any online scams around fitness and nutrition that you may want to debunk for us?
Yes. I'd say fitness teas for fat loss are a scam, or any like special tablet that is being advertised out there that will get you to lose weight immediately. Well, there is one, but it's for medical purposes for guys with diabetes. That's its intended purpose. But other than that, fitness teas, I wouldn't say fitness, but fat loss gels, the other gels I see being advertised where it's like, put this on your body and you'll burn. I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe in like waist trainers. At the end of the day, the thing that works is this consistency with your eating healthy and you're working out. That's like king, no matter what, it doesn't matter. Even if like you were to get surgery, everything will come back unless you live the lifestyle consistently.
I absolutely loved learning more about Shiv. I really appreciate how vulnerable and real he was with us about his journey, about the times where mentally he struggled and how he'd just pick himself up. I appreciate his intentionality on learning the science and the facts that back his passion of fitness and nutrition and help him do the super commendable job he's been doing for years. Now, as someone who's just really started moving her body intentionally daily and committing to a healthier fitness and nutritional journey, I cannot wait for the wellness talk. I hope to see you there. Grab your tickets right now on our website, on Hassel Sasa, or just click the link in the show notes. Remember, if you're in the Greater East Africa region, you can catch us on Trace FM every Monday and Wednesday at 1 p.m. and 11 p.m. And Fridays, we're there at 1 p.m. Just go to traceradio.co.ke to stream. If you want to share your story on this podcast, all you have to do is click the link in the show notes to our storyteller form, fill it out, and one of our correspondents will get back to you. If you enjoyed this episode, drop us a comment, give us 5 stars, because we're worth it. And don't forget to share this episode with your people. That's it for this episode of Legally Clueless. You can share this podcast with your friends. You can keep it for yourself. I'm not judging. Just make sure you're here next week for the next episode.